What's up, y'all? My name is Prince, and I'm an urban acolyte. I'm up here rocking the Wakanda forever. This is the month of August, and this month we're talking The Last Jedi here on Urban Acolyte TV. Apologize to you guys, I didn't get videos out over the last couple of days. My energy was kind of diverted elsewhere. If you don't follow me on social media, mainly on Instagram or on my other account, Golden Bell Training, I've kind of been locked in an intense Qigong challenge with my new friend Qigong Tigress. So shout outs to you, Ying. Check this girl's stuff out if you want to know more about like Qigong, meditation, Taoist yoga. She is extremely talented to just be getting started in the game. I think that I think she's been holding out on us. I think she's been doing this stuff a whole lot longer than what she says. But yeah, very talented person. Does Qigong, she works out, plays the drums, designs undergarment accessories, makes vegan chocolate. Just a real Renaissance person. And hey, you know what I'm saying? She could be my Rose. I'll be her Finn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But anyway, on to today's topic. I want to talk about how the Leia Mary Poppins scene that everyone hated actually saved Star Wars. So I know this is going to be a controversial topic, so I know all the dorks and the pins guys, get your downvote farms ready to downvote this video. I'm sure your Lord and Master Jeremy has probably told you this is the worst thing that's ever happened to Star Wars, right? On his Alex Jones thing, right?
Oh, they have given Leia, they turned her into Mary Poppins, right? And it's an example of what Leia really is. She's the Hillary Clinton of Star Wars, and she's gonna be a snake person. She does some sick things. Leia too. Leia did some sick things, and they're gonna turn into snake people, and you need to just get out and find these social justice warriors that are ruining Star Wars. Just punch them right in the face, because that's what I would do. I would punch them right in the face, even though I'm estrogen dominant, and I'm not gonna put my hands on anybody, but I'll tell you whatever I want to say and pop off at the mouth and get you guys all militarized and everything, go out against Antifa, and I'm gonna kick off a big race war and all this other stuff, even though I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, because nothing I say is actually factual.
But anyway, let's read from The Last Jedi, the novelization, about the scene where Kylo Ren and those other First Order pilots attack the Raddus, and we see Leia get spaced. So at that point it says, Leia flew through the void, arms raised as if in supplication. She could feel the moisture in her eyes and mouth evaporating and her lungs struggling for air that wasn't there. All around her she saw debris and the members of the bridge crew. Those who weren't dead would be soon. She could see the First Order TIE fighters shrinking in the distance, her son lost to her, flying back to his master, who was aboard one of the bright dots of light arranged in a light beyond those fighters. Those lights were Star Destroyers relentlessly hunting her battered and beleaguered little fleet. She could surrender and it would all be over in a moment. She would be at peace. Then she noticed another light nearby, drifting through space amid the wreckage. It was Rey's beacon. She realized the one she would need to find her way back. It had come loose from Leia's wrist. Her hand closed around its soft glow. She couldn't give up, not yet. She had to go on, for Rey and everyone else on the Raddus, and all those the First Order would consign to misery and despair. Leia's eyes closed and she lowered her head, her outstretched hands tensing as she concentrated. Feel the force around you. Life creates it, makes it grow. Leia reached out with her senses. She was surrounded by the remains of battle, but thin traceries of life remained around her, generated by the tiny microorganisms that lived, undetected, on and in bodies and even in the air. Their force energy was ebbing, dying out or growing dormant, but she could sense that it formed a tenuous ladder back to the warship behind her. Leia asked the Force to help her ascend that ladder and return to the broken bridge, where faintly she could see Resistance crewers gathered at an airlock. Even as her senses dimmed, her body rose toward the gaping maw of the shattered bridge. It slid through the wreckage and into the lock. Leia's fingers brushed the viewport and the outer hatch closed. Then the inner door opened, flooding the narrow space with light and air and life. Faintly as if from a great distance, she heard contradictory commands and agonized questions surrounding her. The force was bright and spiky with fear. Leia wanted to tell her rescuers that it would be all right, that they should see to the fleet, but even imagining the effort necessary to do so was impossible, and so belatedly she did surrender, letting go and allowing herself to slide into darkness. Now let's go back to this line, right? Feel the force around you, life creates it, makes it grow. Leia reached out with her senses. She was surrounded by the remains of battle, but thin traceries of life remained around her, generated by the tiny microorganisms that lived undetected on and in bodies and even in the air. Their force energy was ebbing, dying out, or growing dormant, but she could sense that it formed a tenuous ladder back to the warship behind her. These are the midi-chlorians. Leia didn't use the force, and this is something that I've been discussing here for 2 years, right? Daisy Ridley made the comment, and I talked about that in a video in 2016, that there was an argument going on set whether or not Leia was a Jedi because she uses the force to save her life. We heard the rumor that there would be an assassination attempt on Leia, that she would use the force to save her life. And then when everyone is excited about this, and then when we finally see it in 2017 in The Last Jedi, now everybody is losing their mind, right? This is an example of the intellectual dishonesty, right? The short term memory. Everybody, oh man, Leia's gonna use the force in episode 8. Leia's gonna use the force, and then when we say, what the hell, man? This Mary Poppins bull crap, and it's Leia didn't use the force. The midi-chlorians saved Leia. The force saved Leia, and in the process, the force saved Star Wars. Leia saved Star Wars because we always looked at, and this was something that Rey, when she goes to Luke Skywalker, is, well, tell me what you know about the Force. It's something you do. You can lift things with your mind and make people do what you want to do. And Luke is like, wow, everything you said was wrong, right? Wrong, right? And Rey, she learned that during the time that she was on Octu. The Force is not something, and that's in the novelization. You don't get that in the movie, right? But because in the movie you can't get the thoughts and these things, and that in the book included things that were deleted from the movie for time purposes, right? That Rey actually did get 3 lessons with Luke Skywalker, and she walked away with a deeper understanding of the Force, much deeper than when she started, when she was there. And I'm assuming that Octu is a lot like Dagobah, where time passes differently there. Like Dagobah and Mortis, these places where the Force is strong, time passes differently, right? Luke could have been on Dagobah with Yoda for a couple of years, where, you know, the events in Empire Strikes Back, obviously, you know, a couple of days to a couple of weeks, right? So time may have passed differently for Rey there on Octu, where, you know, Finn was actually in his coma for I think 2 weeks or something. At least that's what one of the versions of the Force Awakens novel said. You know, that he had been in his coma for at least 10 days by the time Rey left. And who knows how much longer after the evacuation, right? So think about the time that Finn was in the coma, they evacuate and everything. Rey is there on Octu training with Luke, right? I think it looked like she was there for about 3 or 4 days, right? But could have been much longer, and those days may not have been 24-hour days, right? Who knows? Anyway, my point is that while Rey was there, she walked away with a deeper understanding of the Force, and that's that the Force is not something that you manipulate. It's not something that is manipulated. The Force does have a will, and the Jedi are supposed to be like Taoists. It's not to understand the Force and try to manipulate it or to even serve the Force. It's to live in harmony with the Force, which is actually what Luke Skywalker, by shutting himself off to the Force, becomes like, it's like the most Jedi thing you can do. Okay, I eat, I keep these rituals, and the caretakers on Ahch-To are supposed to serve the Jedi, and the significance of Luke going and fishing, and we see that he's fishing the way the people who observe the tides, right, during the legends of Luke Skywalker, he is keeping with their custom, right, that I am living my life in harmony with the tides, right? I'm going and fishing, the tide comes in, the fish come in, or the tide goes out, and it's safe. You know, it's easier for me to fish, whatever, however that works, it doesn't matter. I know somebody's gonna try to correct me, but this is Star Wars, it's fantasy, it doesn't matter, right? The point is, he's living his life in harmony with the tides, in harmony with the Force, and the people who are there to serve him so that he can focus on meditation and whatnot. It's like, yeah, I don't really need you. That's the significance of him, you know, getting the green milk from the thistle cow or whatever that thing is called. I don't remember, right? The four titty the four titty thing. I love that semen. That shit was hilarious, man. Anyway, like, that's the significance of that. People, I hate that. And it's like Luke is like completely living in harmony, and he's like self-sufficient, right? He's not even like relying on his maids, his hand servants that are there to serve him, right? I'm living this life completely in harmony with the Force by cutting myself off from the Force. And it's like, how does that work? Like, dude, you're like the most Jedi thing. That's like the most Jedi thing ever. I'm not manipulating the Force, but my life, I walked away from the Force, from trying to serve the Jedi or what the Jedi think they were supposed to do. And in the process, I'm completely in harmony with the Tao, with the Force, right? So that like gives a new understanding of what it is to be a Jedi, what it means to live in harmony with the Force. And then Leia, she shows that you don't need any training, right? It's all about the will of the Force. What is the Force? The Force, she reached out, she pleaded, she literally connected with the Force, literally communicated with the midichlorians. And for the good of the galaxy, it's like, hey man, we cannot allow the galaxy to be plunged into darkness. Whatever the Force wills to bring itself back into balance, to bring itself back into harmony, Leia can't go out like this. Kylo Ren hesitated. Was that him? Was that the Force? But someone else who's not in harmony, not struggling with this guy's issues, they fire, and it's like, yo man, no, this can't happen, right? The Force has to be balanced. And so that's what I mean by this save Star Wars, man, because the Force, right? You guys like to talk about Bendu, but you don't want to understand what Bendu's saying. Perhaps it was the will of the Force for you and your like to die. And I serve the will of the Force, right? Maybe it was the will of the Force for the Sith to rise up and have their revenge, to take revenge on what the Jedi did to the Sith at Malachor, the Scourge of Malachor, right? By wiping out the Sith, the Jedi became, militarized, right? The Jedi conducted their great Inquisition, and in the process, they create the Sith and the Inquisitors who go out hunting down Jedi. It's like, we're returning the favor, bitch, right? Literally what happened. And that in the process plunged the galaxy into darkness, and then a new hope rose up. The chosen one realized, I did all of this. This is my fault. I could have ended all of this. And now I'm going to do something about it, because I don't want my son to make the same mistakes and to suffer the same way I did, right? Or I don't want to watch him die too, because I didn't act. Right? And so the chosen one restores balance. And then Luke attempts to do the same thing, but it's like, hey man, you can't control everything. You can't control the Force. You can't control people. And this dude has his own issues, his own dark side to struggle with. And in the end, we learn that everyone has got their own struggle with the dark side. They've got their own struggle with the Force. And sometimes their decisions have an impact on the rest of the galaxy. And when it does, then the cosmic force, the living force, has to act in order to restore balance. Whether that's creating a chosen one, a messianic type figure to do that, or to bring people up, right? To meet the dark, bringing up the light to meet the dark, right? Darkness rises and light to meet it. And when the light is not doing what the light is supposed to do, then the shadow of the dark, the veil of the dark side descends down to keep the light in check. And it's a system of checks and balances. It's yin and yang, it's flow, right? And what Leia was able to do by reaching out to the midichlorians, by pleading with the Force shows that it does want to achieve harmony, right? It wants to be in balance, right? And so we're seeing this interplay of dark and light in this scene, right? Death and life, right? Destruction and restoration. Hurting, harming, and healing, right? We literally see the Star Wars, right? The real Star Wars, the real jihad, meaning the inner struggle that's going on within the Force. The Force is at war with itself, right? You've got people acting who are literally trying to impose their will on the Force, and then the Force attempting to bring itself back into balance. And that is how this scene with Leia, it saved Star Wars, man, because it added a whole new dimension that we had not initially considered. And that's all I got to say on this one. So what do you guys think about what I had to say? Does this change the way you see that scene, or were you like, Prince, we're here, I knew this all along? So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll be checking back to see what you all have to say. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead, click that subscribe button and take your first steps towards becoming an urban acolyte. Embark on the journey of becoming the hero of your own story and become a force for change in your community. Continue to support the channel. Share these videos with all of your friends who loved The Last Jedi. You can even share them with people who hate The Last Jedi. Maybe I'm not trying to convince anybody to like the movie. I just want to offer a different perspective, right? Because the popular thing is to hate on the movie. And like I said, as someone interested in Taoism within Star Wars, I'm just trying to put a different spin on things, the way that I look at things. So that's it. So you know, like the video if you like it, hate it if you don't. I'm gonna keep living my life, and I'm gonna keep on flowing, baby. So that's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with you always.